Terra is the IT painkiller. Remote monitoring and management, remote access, help desk and ticketing, smart automations, patching, software deployment, scripting, and the amazing
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You were sworn on Monday evening, so we have taken care of that part of our responsibilities as far as your oath. And I extend the greetings to you on behalf of all the parties. In cause number D1DC 223011129, you're now being present. The state and defense haven't announced ready for trial. State, you may begin with the reading of the indictment in this cause.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of the county of Travis, state of Texas, duly selected and panel sworn, charged, and organized as such as of January 1st, 2022, in the 331st Judicial District Court for said county. Upon its oath, presents in and to said court at said term, that Kaitlin Armstrong, on or about the 11th day of May, 2022, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county of Travis and state of Texas, did then and there cause the death of Anna Mariah Wilson, an individual, by shooting the said Anna Mariah Wilson with a firearm. And it is further presented that Kaitlin Armstrong, on or about the 11th day of May, 2022, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county of Travis and state of Texas, did then and there, with intent to cause serious bodily injury to Anna Mariah Wilson, an individual, commit an act clearly dangerous to human life that caused the death of Anna Mariah Wilson by shooting the said Anna Mariah Wilson with a firearm against the peace and dignity of the state, signed by the foreperson of the grand jury.
The defendant will please rise. To the allegations as read by state in paragraph 1 of the indictment, how do you plead? To the allegations as read by the state to paragraph 2 of the indictment, how do you plead? You may be seated. Does the state have an opening statement to make at this time? Yes, ma'am. You may proceed.
This case is about Anna Mariah Wilson. Everybody calls her Mo Wilson. Mo was an accomplished college skier from Vermont. A few years ago, she got into a sport called gravel racing. And in about 3 short years, she became one of the best in the world at it. On May 11th, 2022, at 9:15 p.m. here in Austin, Texas, the last thing Mo did on this earth was scream in terror. And you hear those screams. There's a surveillance camera with an audio portion to it. We'll play that for you. And you'll hear those screams. Those screams are followed by ah! Ah! 2 gunshots. One to the front of the head, one to the side of the head that hits the index finger as it passes. You won't hear any more screams out there. There'll be silence. 45 seconds. And we intend to prove to you, you witness in that chair, that after that 4 or 5 seconds silence, Kaitlin Armstrong stood over Mo Wilson, put a third shot right in Mo Wilson's heart. 9:15 p.m. Good morning. My name is Rick Jones. I represent the state of Texas. Along with my co-counsel, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Jenny Sullivan, Mr. Rob Drummond, who will join us at some point, we intend to present to you approximately 40 witnesses from this witness chair to give you evidence over the next 4 to 5 days. We're going to start by giving you information about 3 key players. Number 1, we know this. 25-year-old college grad, from Vermont, up-and-coming pro gravel racer. Second key player, Colin Strickland, who's a professional gravel racer who lives right here in Austin, Texas. The third player is Kaitlin Armstrong, the defendant, who lived with Colin. They had an on-again, off-again romantic relationship. And it was business partners. They had a business of real estate business and refurbishing trailers. Through these witnesses, we're going to give you background on Colin and Kaitlin's relationship. They met in October of 2019 and began a romantic relationship in October 2019. You heard from Colin that at some point in 2021, around the freeze, she moved in with Colin. You hear that as a result of that business, they shared an iPad and a laptop that was connected to Colin's phone. So his iMessages from his phone was available on those documents, on those 2 apparatus. And you'll hear from Colin that the relationship was on again, off again, and you will hear that when the relationship was off, they both dated other people, but they continued to live together. And then we'll give you some more background on Colin. During one of the off-again periods in October of 2021, Colin began dating a romantic relationship with Mo Wilson. While he came to them. Colin's going to tell you that he had to confront Kaitlin Armstrong, communicate, calling Mo Wilson on her cell phone. And you'll even see cell phone data. Colin is going back and forth with Kaitlin about calling Mo Wilson. And he sends her a text that says, WTF, with regard to her calling Mo Wilson. And you'll hear Colin tell you that he changed Mo Wilson's name to Christine Walls in his cell phone in an attempt to secret his communication with Mo Wilson. Because he'll tell you that after they dated, they remained friends. And you'll hear background on Kaitlin Armstrong as well. One of the things you'll hear is she was not happy with this relationship Colin still communicated with Mo Wilson after their romantic relationship ended. You'll hear testimony from this from some of Kaitlin Armstrong's friends. And you'll hear that not only did she share that iPad and laptop with Colin, but she had access to his text messages through iMessages on those documents. He'll tell you that he was a hands-on kind of guy in his business. And Kaitlin was the business manager type. So, in fact, you'll hear that she sent emails, messages out for the business from those 2 documents, from those 2 apparatus that had access to his emails pretending to be him for the business. That'll prove her access to those documents and access to his text messages, through the contacts on that iPad and that laptop. And you'll see text messages, and you'll see cell phone evidence of that phone call that Kaitlin made to Mo Wilson in October 2021. And prior to May 11th, one of the things you'll find out about Kaitlin Armstrong, the defendant, is that Colin at McBride's Guns on Lamar bought 2 guns. He bought himself a gun, and he bought Kaitlin a 9mm 6-hour P365. And you'll find that in January 2022, 4 months with his murder, Kaitlin Armstrong goes to the range, a gun range in South Austin, 35 and Slaughter. She buys 50 rounds of ammo. You'll see the receipt from the ammo. And you'll see pictures on her cell phone of her practicing with that weapon. That 6-hour P365 9mm. 4 months before Mo Wilson was killed. And then we'll give you some more background before the murder that around the May 2nd, 2022 time frame, Colin Strickland left Austin in late April, and he was gone for about 30 days. He was in California. There was a bike gravel race in San Diego area. Colin will testify that during that late April, early May 2nd deadline, that his communication with Mo began to ramp up. Otherwise, they started to communicate a little bit more than they had in the past. And during this time period, when Colin's out on the road in California, texting Mo more, you would learn from this witness chair that Kaitlin Armstrong is back home in Austin near that laptop and that iPad that has access through iMessages to his information. Now, some very important things happened on May 2nd. A couple of things. On May 2nd, and you'll learn some cell data information, cell phone records. Kaitlin Armstrong logged in to Colin Strickland's Gmail account and Instagram from her phone. So she had access to his information. And another important thing happened on May 2nd. Kaitlin Armstrong, on her phone, you'll be directed, looked up Mo Wilson on her phone. And she looked up pictures of Mo Wilson on her phone on May 2nd, 9 days before Mo was killed. And you'll learn that Colin leaves California and goes to Arizona, to Tucson, I believe. And that Kaitlin decides to fly to Arizona after looking up Mo on May 2nd. She gets to Arizona, and her and Colin drive back. They arrived back in Austin on May 9th. Colin and Kaitlin from Arizona, they drive back, make stops along the way. They arrive back on May 9th. And one of the things that Kaitlin Armstrong does on May 9th, that 2 days before Mo Wilson is killed, she looks her up on an app called Strava. Strava app is an app that allows you to look at a person's activity. Now, you learn from the Strava people that the Strava app has a safety feature. You can put the safety feature on. When you're leaving home, you can post your ride through the mountains. But put the safety feature on, it starts a few blocks from your home. But if you don't put the safety feature on, it gives a pretty close general location of where you begin your ride and where you end your ride. And you'll learn from the testimony from the witness chair that when Mo Wilson was in Austin, she did not activate her safety feature. She posted the ride, you can see where it began and where it ended. Now on May 9th, she was looking up her on Strava. She was Googling her on the 2nd. Now, Mo's not here yet, because on May 10th, the very next day, as she's looking up, Mo shows up in Austin for a gravel locos race in Hyco, Texas. It's a 157-mile race. She was favored to win. She didn't stay in a hotel. She stayed with a friend, Kaitlin Cash. We call her Cash. Cash stayed in a garage apartment at 1708B Maple Drive. 1708, she stayed in B garage behind the house. It's in East Austin, right off of MLK. That's where she stayed. She arrived on the 10th. Now, we'll give you some background about what Kaitlin was doing on the 10th. Now, she looked up on the 9th, and on the 10th, May 10th, the day that Mo Wilson arrived in Austin, you'll hear testimony that Kaitlin Armstrong looked up Mo on Strava 4 different times. This is the day before Mo was killed. 4 times. And Strava pretty much tells where you are. And we're going to go to May 11th. The day Mo Wilson was murdered. Now, during that day, Colin and Mo began to text each other. And you'll see those text messages. They're trying to hook up together. We go back and forth about what time, where we're going to go, and things like that. You'll see those text messages. And Colin will tell you that later on that day, 3 o'clock rings, he leaves on his motorcycle to go to the dentist. And while he's out at the dentist visit, him and Mo finalized their plans to hook up for the evening and go to a D-Day movie. And he would testify that texting was on his iPhone. It was connected through iMessages to that iPad and laptop back at home. And you would get cell data records to show that Kaitlin Armstrong was back at home at this time. Now, we're going to tell you what Mo Wilson was doing on the last day of her life. Before she went swimming, one of the last things she did on this earth was what she loved to do. She went on a 3-mile bike ride from 123, and she arrived back at 423. We know that because she posted it on Strava, and we know that because you'll also be presenting evidence that her cell phone data, which has locations, follows her and shows where she starts and where she goes, her whole route, and what she gets back to. You'll get that evidence from the witness here. And at 4:49 p.m., May 11th, get testimony from this witness chair at 4:49 p.m. Mo sends that text copy. Kaitlin Armstrong is back home with an iPad. Now, we're going to talk about Kaitlin Armstrong around the time of the text was sent. At 4:49 p.m., a text message was sent with the exact location of where Mo Wilson would be on May 11, 2022. The exact location which she texted her that 730 Maple Drive. Kaitlin is back home at that time. And at 4:54 p.m., 5 minutes. Your testimony at 5 minutes after that text went to Colin, Kaitlin Armstrong looks up Mo Wilson on the side. Looks at that ride from 1:23 to 4:23. And you'll see that. You see Kaitlin Armstrong. So, 5 minutes. Now let's get access to information at that time. Then we're going to move you along to the evening of May 11th. At 5:43 p.m., Colin picks up Mo at Kaitlin Cash's apartment. They go to the Deep Eddy Pool, and there's a restaurant called Pool Burger across the street. Now, you'll see a couple of things that put them there. You'll see Colin and Mo's cell phone traveling Cash's house to Pool Burger in Deep Eddy. And you'll see video of them sitting in the restaurant eating around the 8 o'clock area. And you'll even see a video of them leaving on a motorcycle to left 8 o'clock on May 11th from the Pool Burger area. Now, Colin drops Mo off at 8:35 p.m. You'll hear witnesses talk about his cell phone. Hits him right there in that alley. It's an alley behind the main house. Down the street, an alley. 8:35, he drops her off. And Colin goes home. And he's home at 9:15 when those gunshots go off. And we know he's home because you'll be able to hear witnesses tracking him on his cell phone. He does stop at 8:38 on MLK, a few blocks from dropping Mo off. And he texts Kaitlin about that area he was running. He said, finished. Want to get something to eat? She doesn't respond. You'll later learn that she doesn't respond to her cell phone. When he goes home, he receives a phone call about 9 o'clock. You'll hear from the person who called him. They was on the phone for 8 minutes. You see cell phone records proving it. And then at 9:21, Colin sends Kaitlin one last text message. Vince, where you at? Want to get something to eat? I'm going home. And cell phone location puts Colin at his home miles away from 1708 Maple Drive. That's how we know where he is. Now let's talk about Mo Wilson on May 11th. Mo comes home Remember, Colin dropped her off at 8:35. Little small flight of stairs up Cash's garage apartment. At 8:36, Mo unlocked the door to Cash's apartment. And we know that because Cash has an app on her phone that sends her a message when the door is locked and unlocked. Not open and closed, just locked and unlocked. Cash was at dinner. She left her apartment before Mo going to dinner with friends as well. You'll hear that from Cash. So, she unlocks the door at 8:36. She goes in her apartment. And you were here from cell data expert and cell phone records that from 8:37 p.m., almost a minute after the door opens, she's on her phone. You're able to track her phone, look at her phone. She's on her phone, calling at 8:37, 1 minute later, on her phone. And she stays on her phone until 9:13. Consequently, you will also learn that within 4 or 5 feet of those stairs, there's a fence and a driveway. You will learn that at 8:37 p.m., 1 minute after she opened that door, Kaitlin Armstrong Jeep is seen going through that alley. 1 minute. She opens that door 1 minute later, you see that Jeep going through the alley. You'll see that on video surveillance kind of images. 1 minute. 8:36, 8:37, 8:38, Colin a few blocks away, texting her. You hear all that from witness. Now, Mo sends her last message out at 9:13 p.m. She sent a text message to a podcaster. 2 minutes before that time. Her last message to a podcaster. Now, you heard from Kaitlin Cash. She had gone to dinner. Good friend of mine, Mo was hanging. She arrives home and sees Mo on the floor. Just sees her legs. She'll testify. She thought Mo had been on a strenuous ride and was laying on the floor, stretching, relaxing. And she'll testify that she gets closer and sees blood and freaks out. And at 9:54 p.m., within seconds of being in her apartment, she calls 911. And she'll tell you that she put the phone on speaker, and the 911 operator had her doing chest compressions to her friend. She'll tell you she had no idea she was dead, whether she was dead or not. You hear testimony that she pressed her closest friend's chest about 80 times for 8 to 10 minutes until the first responders showed up and took over. The police talked to her that night, and she tells them that she left before Mo. She tells them who Mo is. They don't know who she is. She's a friend of mine. She's from San Francisco. She's here visiting. I don't know. She was supposed to have dinner with a friend named Colin Strickland. And she even shows him a text message where Mo texted her and said, hey, what do you think? Beginning of the case. Now, the police continue to investigate. They canvassed the area for surveillance, videos, and they locate a black Jeep with a very distinct bicycle rack with 3 racks on it at 8:37 p.m. in an alley about 5 feet Cash's stairs. It's a little fence that separates them. 8:37. It's a Jeep I was just telling you about. Passing that alley. 1 minute I should open that door. We're gonna present evidence to you. That's Kaitlin Armstrong's Jeep. Police bring in Colin Strickland the next day on May 3rd. And the investigation is done. It's on the way. The police interviewed Colin, confirms his story. He tells them all the things you're going to hear about. I picked her up. I was on a motorcycle. Deep Eddie, Food Burger, they canvass and get video to prove that stuff eventually. Now, the police also sent somebody to Colin's house for an investigation. To sit on the house and watch that house while they were interviewing Colin at the main police station. Once the detective learned about that black Jeep in the alley, he asked Colin about the black Jeep. Colin would testify, but he told him that's her Jeep. She owned it, she drives it. I'm not saying I've never driven it, okay, but I wasn't driving it that day. I was on my motorcycle. So now, Kaitlin Armstrong becomes the person witness as well, because they're concerned about why that Jeep was at 1708 Macon at 8:37 p.m. Now, the police go to get Kaitlin Armstrong. They look her up. They find that she got some Class B warrant. They pick her up and they bring her in. And you'll see, well, you heard from Detective Connor, who has her in the room talking to her. And apparently, Detective Connor would tell her, yeah, that's some kind of mistake with this woman. The birthday is mixed up or something. Not sure it's you. We're going to release you. You can go. You're free to go. At the same time, the police have got a search warrant for the search of the house. Now, you'll see that when Kaitlin is in that room with Detective Connor, she says, I want to leave. But she doesn't get up to leave. Which she did. Continue to stay there. Detective Connor continues to tell her more about it and ask her questions. I just want to hear your side of the story, and you tell me why your Jeep is at the scene of this murder. Doesn't say anything. Let's say something like, I didn't know how to do that. Same girl she's been searching on May 2nd, May 9th, May 10th. And eventually, they do release her from the police station that day. There is no explanation why that Jeep was there. Now, from that search warrant at Colin and Kaitlin's home, they find two things that are very important to this case. 2 guns. One, Smith, it's Colin's gun. They find a 9mm 6-hour P365 that belonged to Kaitlin Armstrong. That gun is later identified through ballistics firearm that was used to kill Mo Wilson. Now, the day after this interview, May 13th, some important things happened. You'll see Kaitlin Armstrong on a video camera at CarMax in South Austin, near their home. She goes to CarMax and she sells her Jeep for $12,000. You'll see a video of her in CarMax. On that same day, you'll see an Uber receipt. She rides an Uber to Austin Bergstrom Airport after she sold her car. And you'll also be presented evidence. The next day, she goes to Uber's airport on the 13th, but the next day on May 14th, she flies from Austin to Houston, and from Houston to New York City. You see the flight receipts. And you'll learn that on May 18th, a few days later, and you'll also learn that she has a sister, Kaitlin Armstrong, that lived in New York, New Jersey. On May 18th, you'll be presented testimony of her going online, using her credit card, her email, buying a plane ticket to Costa Rica with her sister's name listed as the passenger on May 18th. And on that same day, she flies to Costa Rica using her sister Kaitlin Armstrong's passport. She goes to Costa Rica and assumes a different identity. And on June 22nd, while in Costa Rica, she has plastic surgery. You'll see the medical record of Dr. Badia. She spends $6,425 to change her appearance. You'll also see before and after photos in those medical records. That's on June 22nd. A few days later, on June 29th, the U.S. Marshals locate Kaitlin Armstrong in Costa Rica. Have no jurisdiction, notify the local authorities. Get together, they work it out. And a few days after June 29th, Kaitlin Armstrong is returned to the United States. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit and tell you a little about the cell phone data. Cell phone data can include calls, text messages, and also location information. You can tell who you call, who you text, and where you are. Let's talk about Colin's cell phone data. You can see those text messages I told you about between the two. You'll see him traveling on a cell phone location to pick her up. You'll see him traveling to Bloomberg. Okay? You'll see him traveling from Poolberg. You'll see him leaving the scene at 8:35, dropping her off, and you'll see him stop and make that text message at 8:38 through the cell phone records. You'll see that 9 o'clock phone call, the last 8 minutes, and you'll see that 9:21 text, and you'll be able to see from the cell phone expert that he's way at home at 9:15 when those shots ring out. You'll be able to tell it from the cell data. So we look at Mo Wilson's cell data. You'll be able to see that ride she took, the last ride of her life. 1:23, 4:23 p.m. on May 11th. Hopefully on you get to see the cell phone. You see it. You can see and read that text message. 4:49 p.m. on May 11th. See the 17:08. Cell database. And you'll see her location to help you verify what time she got home. You got Cash's information saying it goes over 8:36. You'll be able to look at the cell data to see if it also says she got home at 8:36. You'll be able to see that to verify. You'll also see that from 8:37 to 9:13, she was on her phone in an apartment. And you'll even see evidence afterwards that that's the front door, here's a couch. After she's murdered, you'll see that cell phone on that couch plugged into a white charger right there, right by the door. You hear this very small apartment. She was a few feet away to the bathroom. But at 9:13, that cell phone is right there when she sent that last message, right by that front door. And you'll see that last text that she sent to the podcast. 2 minutes. You'll see Kaitlin Armstrong cell data. These cell phone people tell you they can get your stuff from your cell phone, unlock your cell phone, through the cloud, all kind of ways. You'll see her cell phone and a GPS that I'm going to tell you about is in her Jeep. You'll see them traveling earlier that day, side by side, so you can verify the accuracy of it. And you'll also see from the cell phone people that at 7:30 p.m., 7:30 p.m. on May 11th, turn the cell phone on. Turn it off. By the way, June 29th, the U.S. Marshals gathered in Costa Rica. This is right the cell phone on the phone. What cell phone evidence can tell you. And also, you'll see that at 9:55, approximately 35 minutes or so, after you hear that scream on that audio and the ring camera, her cell phone is turned back on. And it's at her house in South Austin. You'll see location data for that cell phone. And you'll learn that on May 27th, while in Costa Rica, she searched her name from her cell phone, news articles, things about her arrest, things about her being a fugitive. You'll see that through the cell phone data, people. She's looking at all this and reading this stuff and putting it up on her phone while she's in Costa Rica on May 27th. After the murder, but before the plastic surgery, you see her Googling this warrants for her arrest and stuff in Costa Rica. Now, I told you the police was canvassing the video surveillance. You'll see one video surveillance camera of Colin leaving that motorcycle at 8:36 once he dropped Mo off at Cass's apartment. Got him one time on video camera. Now, there's 4 video surveillance cameras that captures Kaitlin Armstrong circling Cash's house at 17:08 May for about an hour before the murder. It's circling. One camera catches her 3 or 4 times. He's passing up down the field on that black Jeep that she sold at CarMax. Now, one of them videos that catches her in the front of the house, in the back of the house, they have cameras on both sides, front and back of the house. That's the camera that catches her along that fence at 836. 1 minute after. No. Now, you will find that many cars, and this Jeep here, had an infotainment center. And within that infotainment center, there's GPS. You hear that Kaitlin Armstrong Jeep had an infotainment center with a GPS system in it. GPS shows time and location data. You'll see an animation of her driving down Lamar with the dots. Starting about 6 p.m. It's tracking her all over the city, North Austin, driving around. You'll see her circling the block around the house. And you'll see the experts look at the video ring time, GPS on the Jeep time to verify the accuracy. For example, GPS says she's on this street, ring time takes a picture. You see that side by side. Now, GPS has what they call trip logs. Everybody has trip logs. Trip log cuts off, Jeep is on. Car is on. You hear about trip log 99, trip log 100. Trip log 99 stops at 8:40 p.m. GPS location puts Kaitlin Armstrong Jeep in an alley about 15, 20 yards from those stairs that Mo Wilson went up at 8:36. GPS guy will testify that at 9:17 p.m., 2 minutes after those fatal shots, trip log 100 starts. That Jeep starts up and starts to move. 2 minutes later, it's 20 yards from the stairs where the Jeep is parked. It starts up at 8:40, no activity, turned off. 2 minutes after murder, that Jeep is back home and it's gone. And one of the things about this Jeep is we follow this Jeep on GPS all the way to the home in South Austin. You see that it stops by an apartment complex into a dumpster. On the way home, stops by the dumpster for a minute. The GPS shows that the car is moving when it stops, miles per hour, so how fast it's going, it's not moving at all. You see her go up to that dumpster, by the apartment complex, stop for a few minutes, and you're going to see her drive off home, cut that Jeep off, and trip log 100 is going to end. Right around 9:55 p.m., same time, that phone popped back on at her home. Now, you're going to hear from a ballistics and tool mark expert. There were 3 shell casings and 3 projectiles covered at the scene. One of the projectiles was too mangled to compare. So he had 3 shell casings, 2 projectiles to use for comparison. So they got those 2 guns that they got from the search warrant. Colin's gun and Caitlin's 6-hour P365 9mm. They test fired those guns and compared those test fires casings to those 5 found at the scene. From that chair, the ballistics guy is going to tell you Colin's gun was excluded. Caitlin's gun were identified. The results will show that those casings, test casings, were identified as being the same as fired from that gun. That's what he's going to testify. That 6-hour P365 9mm, the same gun fired those casings at 1708 Drive. And you're also going to hear from DNA experts. Now, you hear that they swabbed DNA from Mo Wilson's bike, which they found in some weeds, maybe 10 yards from the bottom of those stairs, cut 4 or 5 yards from where that car was parked at 840, and some bamboo weeds. They found her bike. You will find that the bike weighs about 5 or 6 pounds. You can pick it up like with one hand. You'll find that it's a very expensive bike, thousands of dollars. And you remember that earlier she was riding the bike. Now, the DNA expert will tell you that she took DNA from Mo Wilson, Kaitlin Armstrong, and Colin Strickland to compare to the DNA on that bike. Now, they found DNA on the handlebars. Now, the DNA expert will tell you that they don't say that's the person. They got likelihood ratios. Uninformative, 5 categories. Uninformative with the lowest, strongly, strong, and very strong likelihood. That's how they give it down. You will find, or she'll testify, that the DNA on the handlebars was a very strong likelihood that the DNA on the handlebars included the DNA from Kaitlin Armstrong. Strong. And the DNA expert will testify that with regards to the DNA on the seat of the bike, that there's a very strong likelihood that the DNA on the seat of the bike included DNA from Kaitlin Armstrong. Very strong, highest category they had. And on October 11th, 2023, 19 days before this trial began, you're going to hear testimony that Kaitlin Armstrong escaped from the Travis County Jail. And was apprehended about a mile down the road. 19 days before this trial. When we present this evidence to you through these 40 witnesses here, we're going to ask you to find Kaitlin Armstrong guilty of murdering Mo Wilson. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. So why are we here? Why are we here? You heard the state get up and tell you this is an open and shut case, right? There's DNA, ballistics, GPS evidence. The state's certainly convinced. That's all very important. So why are we here? You may already have your mind made up. I know Detective Richard Spittler with the Austin Police Department certainly did, just hours into his investigation. So why are we here? We are here because the state's opinion of what the evidence is in the Austin Police Department's opinion of what the evidence is, isn't important. You are the most important people in this room. It is your opinion of the evidence that we are here for. That's why we're here. Reasonable doubt. I want to talk to you about reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt is doubt that is supported
Judge,
by...
Jeff, he's making arguments about the weight of the evidence. He's not giving a roadmap.
Provide an opening statement with the evidence will show. Deliver our statements to that.
I plan to, Your Honor. Reasonable doubt is doubt that is supported by reason and common sense. And I expect at the end of this trial that we will be talking about doubt, what that is. But for purposes of my remarks to you this morning, I want to talk to you about reason and common sense. Now, reason...
Judge, once again, that's not a roadmap for evidence. That's argument.
Judges say,
Judge, may we approach? Now, the state just discussed with you what you will see, what you will hear about, what you will hear throughout the course of this trial. But I want to talk to you about what you didn't hear about. What you didn't hear about. You didn't hear that not one witness saw Kaitlin Armstrong allegedly commit this murder. Not one. Because there isn't one. You didn't hear.
Because I'm going to object again. He's supposed to be presenting the evidence open that he's going to show, not evidence that he's not going to show. Once again, this is argument.
if the implication from the argument is that the evidence that you open statement, that you stated in open statement, states one thing, and he's pointing out what that evidence does not show, that would be permissible. But we were limited to that and not argument as to the facts of the case or why it's of that which the burden of proof that we need in this instance.
Thank you, Your Honor. You won't hear, and you didn't hear, about any camera footage showing Kaitlin Armstrong at the scene